Hello, everyone, and welcome to a series we're going to call Random Ass RPGs. Why are we calling it that? Because that is the first thing that popped into my head and it made me laugh. So, today we're going to be checking out the third installment in the Dragon Age series, which is Dragon Age Inquisition. This is one of my favorite RPGs ever. And since they are actually working on a fourth one, I'm actually kind of in the process of setting up my game. These games take into consideration decisions that you've made in past incarnations of the game. So Dragon Age 1 and 2 were kind of fed into Inquisition to build your world. So I kind of want to set up my game so that when 4 drops, I have the world state that I want to start. I also really just like this title screen because it's playing the music and it's really pretty. But anyway, so let's get started. Of course, step 1 is character creation. I have sped this up a whole lot because this is like 20 minutes of fiddling. Dragon Age Inquisition actually gives you quite a bit of customization for your character. It starts you off like a lot of them do with kind of like a base face, I guess, in a way. And then you can kind of go ahead and change things that you want, such as like face shape, skin tone, voice even. You only have like 2 choices, and it's basically like a British accent and an American accent, which fits into the worlds. I'm making a human who is also a dual wielding rogue. So the voice that I chose for her is the British voice because in this world, humans usually have, well, they have a couple different accents actually. It depends on which part of the world they're from. But as far as American accents goes, you really only hear American accents on let's see, the Kunari. You'll see them in a second. The Kunari and dwarves. Everyone else is like British or French if they're from part of the map called Orlais. So anyway, I figured nobody really wanted to sit here and like watch me fiddle for 20 minutes while I made my character. But if this is a game that you're not familiar with, you might be interested in the actual process and like how detailed it gets. So I just, sped it up a bit. My only complaint about the character creation here is that you don't have a lot of choices for hairstyle. So like if you have more than one character, or at least for me, I always end up choosing kind of between like the same 2 or 3 hairstyles. Half of these hairstyles were the same ones that were in Dragon Age 2, and like they're exactly the same. They don't even look any different. So that is honestly one place I'm kind of hoping they improve on with the 4th one. Like, I know this game is a couple years old, but it's not that old. Like, it's not like the technology was lacking to give us better options here. They just didn't. But either way, we're going to go ahead and finish this out, and then we'll start the first cutscene. I'm going to not talk during cutscenes because if you don't know the lore, it's a little hard to understand if you don't know what's going on. And then when the cutscenes are over, I'll stop and explain things.
Tell me why we shouldn't kill you now. The Conclave is destroyed. Everyone who attended is dead. Except for you.
You think I'm responsible?
Explain this.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
I don't know what that is, or how it got there.
You're lying!
We need her, Cassandra.
For all my Mass Effect fans out here, yes, we have a dialogue wheel. And just like it says, if it's an emotional situation, it'll be like really obvious when you kind of like direct towards the choice. It'll tell you like what emotion you're about to give. Like that's confused, that's kind of a strong one, a crying one. It makes sense.
So what happens now?
Do you remember what happened? How this began?
I remember running. Things were chasing me, and then a woman?
A woman?
She reached out to me, but then...
Go to the forward camp, Liliana. I will take her to the rift.
What did happen?
It will be easier to show you. We call it the Breach. It's a massive rift into the world of demons that grows larger with each passing hour. It's not the only such rift, just the largest. All were caused by the explosion at the Conclave.
An explosion can do that?
This one did. Unless we act, the breach may grow until it swallows the world. Each time the breach expands, your mark spreads, and it is killing you. It may be the key to stopping this, but there isn't much time.
I've played through this early game enough that a lot of the times I don't go into like the investigate menu and say other things, but because this might be being watched by someone who's never experienced the game before, I will try and have a little bit more dialogue options that I choose. And then like between like talking, I'll basically explain what happened if I can to try and clear some things up.
You say it may be the key. To doing what?
Closing the breach. Whether that's possible is something we shall discover shortly. It is our only chance, however. And yours.
You still think I did this? To myself?
Not intentionally. Something clearly went wrong.
And if I'm not responsible?
Someone is, and you are our only suspect. You wish to prove your innocence? This is the only way.
I understand.
Then...
I'll do what I can. Whatever it takes.
They have decided your guilt. They need it. The people of Haven mourn our most holy, divine Justinia, head of the Chantry. The Conclave was hers. It was a chance for peace between mages and Templars. She brought their leaders together. Now they are dead. We lash out like the sky, but we must think beyond ourselves, as she did. Until the breach is sealed. There will be a trial. I can promise no more. Come. It is not far.
Where are you taking me?
Your mark must be tested on something smaller than the breach.
Okay, so there's going to be quite a bit of cutscening happening in this episode just because it's the beginning of the game and they're setting up a lot of the world. This world is not a really simple world. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they have to explain.
Open the gate. We are heading into the valley.
And I'm going to try and shut up every time Cassandra decides to say something random. But basically, they made the game so that if this was your first entry into the gaming series, you wouldn't be completely lost. You just miss some of the explanation for some of the things your characters will say. And if that is the case, what I'll do is I'll stop and try and explain some of them because I have played all of them.
The pulses are coming faster now. The larger the breach grows, the more rifts appear, the more demons we face.
How did I survive the blast?
They said you stepped out of a rift, then fell unconscious. They say a woman was in the rift behind you. No one knows who she was. Everything farther in the valley was laid waste, including the Temple of Sacred Ashes. I suppose you'll see soon enough.
We've reached our first reference to the previous games, and that's the Temple of Sacred Ashes. So, you run across the Temple of Sacred Ashes in the first game, and it is not like a populated place. It's kind of a ruin, sort of, and it's somewhere between like the second and the third game. It's basically become like a pilgrimage for people in the religion that exists in the world that this game has created. So that's what that is. The big green thing in the sky was the rift. That gets explained later, so I don't see a reason to stop and explain it now because there's going to be enough explainer in this video and cutscenes for me not to just be redundant. So here we are. This playthrough actually had voiceover while I was playing, but much like another video I put up, my OBS reset and it wasn't picking up my mic. So this is like After Effect voiceover. So that's kind of why you might notice some like weird cuts. Basically what happened was I was probably standing still and explaining something and I have no idea what I was saying. So yeah, I cut some of that out, like the standing, but I didn't cut anything important. Okay, nobody's saying anything important now. So that was this really short cutscene, no explainer, but this is like, you know, that first mission you get to that teaches you how the combat works. That's what this is. This is the first time you encounter any sort of demon, any sort of like being from the rift. So see, it like kind of like stops you. Anyway, I already know how to like do the combat, so I'm just playing through it because it's the beginning of the game. So there is a lot of cutscene in this. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
It's over.
Drop your weapon. Now.
Hell no.
If you're going to lead me through a demon-infested valley, you'll have to trust me.
Give me one reason to trust you.
Because my life is on the line.
You're right. I cannot protect you, and I cannot expect you to be defenseless. I should remember you agreed to come willingly.
Okay, so on the left-hand side, while they were talking, you might have noticed that, like, it said, like, Cassandra slightly disapproves. There is a pretty intricate... Okay, they're done. There's a pretty intricate approval system in this game, and it does affect gameplay. Like, if you don't well, no, let's say it in the other way. If you get your approval up to a certain level with the people that are in your party, you will get like side quests that you wouldn't have gotten before and story that you wouldn't have gotten before. So it's actually pretty interesting. I actually knew the answer to say to not make Cassandra slightly disapprove, but I don't like that answer. Like, if I was in this situation, I would not just put my weapon down because she told me to. Like, I just had a demon come flying out of a hole in the sky at me. Why would I put my weapon? Anyway, so I just give the realistic one. Abilities. Mana is for a mage, which we're not. Stamina is for everyone else. So in this case, what we care about is stamina. Cassandra talks about flanking them, and then she just goes down there and just goes ham. Like, why did she even mention it? Anyway, we do eventually have a mage. In my other playthrough on console, I actually am playing with a mage. But in this one, we're going to stick with our rogue. There's not cutscene here. So this, I'm trying not to like hit all the cutscenes immediately, but there's so many cutscenes to explain the world from the standpoint of, I guess, somebody who doesn't know what happened. Like, this situation that is the reason for this game. Like, that explosion, everything that happened, the reason like people are fighting and everything is actually the end of Dragon Age 2. So like they talk about it a lot, about like the Mage Rebellion and stuff, you'll see. And if you haven't played 2, you have no idea what they're talking about. If you have played 2, you know who caused the problem because he was in your party. Like, so you don't need to know that. No, you will get the point of what happened over the course of the game. But it's interesting coming at it from somebody who knows and maybe trying to explain this game to somebody who doesn't. We haven't even gotten to like the first the first big fight, and like as you can see, Cassandra's our only companion. We are actually about to get 2 more companions, and like they're not even the kind that you could miss while you're playing. Like, you have no choice. If you don't want them to be in your party, like you have the option to like piss them off and then they'll leave your party. But these aren't the kind of companions that like you could miss if you don't go get them. But there are a couple of those. However, I know where all the companions are, so I usually pick them up and use them or ignore them. There's a couple of them that kind of get on my nerves. This is literally just initial gameplay. So those 2 up on the hill, you have to get close to them for them to actually kind of like aggro you. So they were up on the hill, and like, I mean, you saw how long I stood there looking at them. They didn't really care what we were doing until we got inside that aggro range for them. So in theory, well, not in theory, you could actually just kind of go up those stairs and avoid these 2, but we want the XP. We want to be able to level up. So since I knew they were there and I could see them, it was like, we're just going to go over here and set them off anyway. So.
We're getting close to the rift. You can hear the fighting.
Who's fighting?
You'll see soon. We must help them.
Okay, so I shut up because we're about to meet 2 companions and she's kind of sort of talking about them. There's nothing over there. I've checked it. You know, RPG, you check everywhere. This drop down is a point of no return. You cannot leap back up. It is too high. So this is important, and it's going to give you 2 more of your companions, but it's also going to teach you a little bit about the rift and about the mark on your hand. So I'm gonna shut up now.
You do?
I did nothing. The credit is yours.
I closed that thing. How?
Whatever magic opened the breach in the sky also placed that mark upon your hand. I theorized the mark might be able to close the rifts that have opened in the breach's wake. And it seems I was correct.
Meaning it could also close the breach itself.
Possibly. It seems you hold the key to our salvation.
Good to know. Here I thought we'd be ass-deep in demons forever. Varric Tethras, rogue, storyteller, and occasionally unwelcome tag-along.
Varric is in Dragon Age 2 and is literally the best character in this game. Like, I absolutely love him, and I'm so upset he's not romanceable.
Are you with the Chantry, or...?
Was that a serious question?
Technically, I'm a prisoner, just like you.
I brought you here to tell your story to the Divine. Clearly, that is no longer necessary.
Yet, here I am. Lucky for you, considering current events.
The Chantry is the church, which is why everyone kind of chuckled when you ask Varric whether he's with the church, basically.
That's a nice crossbow you have there.
Ah, isn't she? Bianca and I have been through a lot together.
You named your crossbow Bianca.
Of course. And she'll be great company in the valley.
Absolutely not. Your help is appreciated, Varric, but...
Have you been in the valley lately, Seeker? Your soldiers aren't in control anymore. You need me.
Ugh.
My name is Solus, if there are to be introductions. I am pleased to see you still live.
He means I kept that mark from killing you while you slept.
So Varric is a rogue like I am, except for he's a bow and arrow rogue. There's two different kinds. And Solus is a mage, and really important to the story.
You seem to know a great deal about it all.
Solus is an apostate, well-versed in such matters.
Technically, all mages are now apostates, Cassandra. My travels have allowed me to learn much of the Fade, far beyond the experience of any circle mage. I came to offer whatever help I can give with the breach. If it is not closed, we are all doomed regardless of origin.
That's a commendable attitude.
Merely a sensible one. Although sense appears to be in short supply right now. Cassandra, you should know, the magic involved here is unlike any I have seen. Your prisoner is no mage. Indeed, I find it difficult to imagine any mage having such power.
Understood. We must get to the forward camp quickly.
Well, Bianca's excited.
Okay, apostates are mages who are not controlled by the church. Circles are how the church controls mages. Basically, if you have magic, they put you in a tower with like fighters who can keep you from being taken over by demons and basically stop you from doing just about anything. Those are circles. And so Solus being an apostate, yeah, that means that he has never been in a circle. So I picked up a couple of things, but like not a bunch. It's super early, so I figured I'd go ahead and switch out her weapons. The weapons do change in the picture, like as you switch them out. So like if I put the Highlander back on her, it would show on her back again. And I have helmets turned off, so they're invisible because I don't like seeing the helmet. So nobody's helmet will be visible, but they'll all have them on because I want the benefits of having them on as far as armor goes. This game is one of the wonderful RPGs that actually lets you jump, which is nice. RPGs that don't let you jump actually kind of drive me nuts. I don't really understand why that is. But either way, so we're coming up on kind of the end of the combat teaching, I guess. So it's going to force me into it. I don't want to fight this way, but it's going to kind of force me into it with these particular demons. Yeah, see, it basically grinds the game to a halt. And it forces you to use tactical mode, which is kind of top down like this. And you basically tell your party what to do and then choose to advance time. I'm playing on PC, but I'm playing with a controller. So in this case, it's right trigger that advances time. Otherwise, everything is frozen. So it gives you time to think, I guess. which is nice. However, it's not necessary, to me at least, when you're just fighting a couple of demons. Like, the time that I will use a tactical camera is if I am doing like a boss fight or something like that, because then I need to keep track of everyone. Whereas here it's just like, look, I'm just gonna set your tactics in the menu and you do you, homie. Like, I don't need tactical view. But I do use it. I think the first time I use it in this game is usually it's usually during the first boss, which is going to take you a second to get to, honestly. Yeah, when you heard my character say I'm falling back, that's because you can see her health is halfway down. If you listen out for like verbal cues, all of the characters that are in your party will kind of let you know when they're getting low on health, unless it happens really fast. Then sometimes it just kind of sneaks up on you and one of them's dead, and then you're like, what the hell? How did that happen?
Are you innocent?
I don't remember what happened.
That'll get you every time. Should have spun a story.
That's what you would have done.
It's more believable and less prone to result in premature execution.
So Varric was telling a story in Dragon Age 2. He was telling the story of what happened in Kirkwall. So that's kind of why, one, Cassandra is just really irritated with him, and two, why that's his thing. He's a storyteller. So of course he would recommend that you tell a story, because if you say the truth, in this case for our character, which is I don't remember what happened, it makes you sound really guilty, which I guess he's got a point. It kind of does. We are moving ever closer towards what they're calling the forward camp, which is where the story kind of gets going. Sort of? Yeah, sort of. Like, you meet more people, like Liliana, who you already met once. And you kind of see the attitudes of people a little bit better, which lets you know what you're in for, at least in the beginning of the game. This game is gorgeous. Like, this game is like Skyrim gorgeous to me. This is one of the reasons I really, really love playing it. Solas's voice actor is so funny in the beginning of this game, because he just went from being like totally calm to just randomly yelling. It's only in the beginning of the game. I just wonder why, like, they were like, okay, get it together, I guess, and never like went back and re-recorded his lines. But anyway, so yeah, here we are, closing the Fade Rift. Usually they have two, like, what do you call them, waves. But this one only has one, because it's basically just an introduction to teach you how to do it. It also forces you to level up. So here we are, leveling up. I have 2 points, and I know, like, basically what I'm going for. Like, first playthrough, you don't really know what you're going for, but in this case, I know what I'm trying to build up to, and like what specialization I'm going to choose, which comes considerably later in the game. So for me, I'm basically putting my points where they will benefit me late game. Whereas like the first time I played through this, I didn't do this. I didn't bother looking up like the different types or looking into the specializations or anything. I just shoved my points somewhere and read the, what you call them? The descriptions of each thing, and then decided what to do. So in this case, I'm actually doing this kind of the smart way. And I think I'm the only one that's leveled up. So you actually distribute points for yourself and your party. But in this case, I'm only doing it for me because I am the only one that has leveled up. Your main character has a tendency to level up a little bit before everyone else does. So you're usually running a little bit ahead.
Rift is gone. Open the gate.
Right away, Lady Cassandra.
We are clear for the moment. Well done.
Whatever that thing on your hand is, it's useful.
There's a lot of background conversation in this game, depending on who you have in your party, like, changes the conversation. It's actually part of the charm of the game, I guess. It's one of the things I really, really love. At this early in the game, it will not let you save, but it's auto-saving. So we're about to go into another cutscene where you kind of figure out, I guess you see how things are for you and your party right now. So you can kind of hear them arguing over there. If you stand here long enough, eventually they will stop talking. But basically, they're arguing.
You, Cassandra? Ah, here they come.
You made it. Chancellor Roderick, this is...
I know who she is. As Grand Chancellor of the Chantry, I hereby order you to take this criminal to Val Royeaux to face execution.
Order me? You are a glorified clerk, a bureaucrat.
And you are a thug, but a thug who supposedly serves the Chantry.
We serve the most holy, Chancellor. As you well know.
Justinia is dead! We must elect a replacement and obey her orders on the matter.
I'm just going to go ahead and pick what I would normally say in this situation, considering what's going on around us and falling from the sky.
So none of you are actually in charge here.
You killed everyone who was in charge! Call a retreat, Seeker. Our position here is hopeless.
We can stop this before it's too late.
How? You won't survive long enough to reach the temple, even with all your soldiers.
We must get to the temple. It's the quickest route.
But not the safest. Our forces can charge as a distraction while we go through the mountains.
We lost contact with an entire squad on that path. It's too risky.
Listen to me. Abandon this now, before more lives are lost.
How do you think we should proceed?
Now you're asking me what I think.
You have the mark.
And you are the one we must keep alive. Since we cannot agree on our own...
I prefer the mountain path option because they lost people up there and there's a chance that I assume you could find them. I actually know whether you find them or not, but I'm not trying to ruin it for somebody who has not played the game.
Use the mountain path. Work together. You all know what's at stake.
Liliana, bring everyone left in the valley. Everyone.
On your head be the consequences, Seeker.
Yeah, Homeboy's a pain in the ass all the way to the end. So, look forward to that. This is actually where I ended up stopping, honestly, because it's just a good stopping point. We're still at the very beginning, but like as you can see, a lot has been explained. And, you know, kind of a lot has happened. Sort of. Anyway, I had to go pick up my kid, so I stopped recording to go get my kid from work. So this is where we will pick up next time. I'm actually able to save my game, which is awesome. And I'll see you next time I have an episode of Random Ass RPGs edited and ready to put up. I hope you have a great week. And I hope you liked this episode as much as I liked recording it. If you did and you want to see this or my Sims content, I hope that you will actually hit me with that follow. That'd be absolutely wonderful. And I'll see you next time.